My name is Jenny Burak, and I am an astrologer and a theta healing instructor. I channel the energy of Archangel Metatron, who is or archangel who's over all of the other archangels. I've been working with him for a few years now, and in January he asked me to start doing these recordings for the week. I started on Blog Talk Radio, so they aren't all on YouTube, but he helps me go through the week. We go through like each day, what to say that will be helpful for everyone, whatever knowledge he wants to bring through in relation to what's happening in the cosmos. What happens astrologically is what the energy that we're all feeling. As above, so below, as within, so without. So the energies lately in the sky have been very angry, very sad, because Chiron is sitting at the last degree of a sign. Each constellation is given 30 degrees, and the 29th degree is known as the anaretic degree. The anaretic degree, a 2 and a 9, is an 11. So that's the master number associated with Archangel Metatron. And Chiron is also sitting on a fixed star called Sheet that has an energy that can be kind of pretty vicious. In your own natal chart, it can also point to mental creativity. But in the case of, if we're talking about what's happening with the collective right now, it's a lot of sorrow, a lot of sadness. And also we've got Mars, Saturn, and Pluto all in Capricorn, which rules the institutions of government, of banking, of what all of us answer to. It's like the sign of prestige and of leadership as well. And those are all the planets associated with war. So what happened with the bombing in Syria, and I don't mean the bombing that France and the United States and the United Kingdom were part of, I mean the bombing of the Syrian people. That was already pointed to with the new moon on the 15th. There are 3 fixed stars involved in one of those fixed stars. It's in a trine energy with that new moon. One of those is about liquid gas. Okay, so I apologize, you guys. It's going to take some getting used to for me. Okay, so that is that. I gotta look at this. Those 3 stars here. And when I woke up this morning, he was talking to me about reminding everyone the new moon in Aries, which is conjunct the planet Uranus. Uranus is lightning. It's electric. And it's been on fire now for about 8 years. It first came into the sign of Aries, fire, which is ruled by Mars, in 2010. It dipped out and it came back in 2011. Much like Chiron is about to do, going into Aries. It will go back into Pisces for a while. But this energy of the trine is where all of these energies are speaking to one another. So we've got the Galactic Center, the gate of the gods, where our sun, in our solar system, the central sun's portal to the cosmos and the central sun is through the Galactic Center that sits at 26, 27 degrees of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is about pushing us to the truth of our own existence. It wants to know everything, basically. And it pushes you in your own natal chart, wherever it falls, to searching and looking, and it sends you on a quest to discover the truth of your own existence. Jupiter right now is in the sign of Scorpio, where he will be all year, answering to Pluto and Mars as the ancient ruler of Scorpio, and they're in Capricorn together right now. Mars will move out in a bit, and then he will retrograde back in and come to the United States Pluto. So we're talking about searching for the truth of our own existence by going to the depths of our psyche, Now, Scorpio is fixed water. It's like the swamp, the dark water, the depths, things that we don't see, things that are deep down in there, things that aren't in our conscious mind, but things that are governing our behavior and our choices, even though we're unaware of them. And Jupiter in Scorpio is pushing those things up to the surface. It wants to bring the light to those things. It wants to bring knowledge and wisdom to those things. Sagittarius, the centaur, is, and Jupiter that rules Sagittarius is a very healing energy. It helps you to work out whatever it is, whatever the issues are, in a positive way. So that the new moon then is it's conjunct Uranus. Uranus, electricity and fire that brings change, that disrupts the old stagnation and where we're comfortable, but maybe it isn't in our best interest to stay. So maybe there's something that you've been wanting to let go of, that you've been procrastinating, and this will give you the energy of release. It will release you from whatever it is that's holding you back, from the ties that bind. When he showed me what it was about individually, he showed me a snare trap, like with the teeth that closed, and they were closed on someone's ankle, and he showed me it just springing open. So we're being released now from whatever it is that's holding us back, and however that works for you. And this will be specific for each of us in our own natal charts. It doesn't necessarily mean your sun sign or your ascendant. When a new moon or a full moon happens, it happens for all of us. It doesn't matter, if you're in this many degrees. No, it's for the collective, new moons and full moons. I don't do sun signs, and I don't do those horoscopes, because that's really like part of how the practice of astrology lost its legitimacy was sun sign horoscopes in the newspaper. So I just choose not to participate in that unless I'm asked to. But I think that, that's up to me, he said. So, and then it's reaching out to that eclipse that happened back in August, that eclipsed the United States, went down the center, or like diagonally, but it covered basically the United States. There wasn't a part of it that wasn't touched. It's significant that it only hit the United States. And that was at 26 degrees of Leo. So, and conjunct those fixed stars that they're all governed by Saturn, and then they have co-rulers, but they answer to Saturn, who's in his sign of Capricorn, and then going up to the central sun. So whatever is started now has tremendous momentum, is what he's saying. It's blessed. And so whatever endeavors you're looking at beginning individually, plant that seed. With this new moon, Mercury will station just before the new moon, and then it will begin to move direct. So it's all systems go as far as like what you individually want to do. Mercury is also in the sign of Aries. Aries is the sign of the I am. It's who we are deep in our core, and what Jesus came to teach us, and what was extricated from the Bible by the council, the King James Council. He was teaching us that how to live in our I am presence, how to forgive what is wrong, how to love one another. And so when Chiron then on the 17th moves into Aries, we're going to begin to deal with those issues, whatever it is that's keeping us from owning our I am presence. Okay, so we're just going to go through the week now. It's just a huge week. The sun will shift into Taurus this week, so it won't be answering to fire, to Mars anymore. We'll feel a bit of relief there. The sun will also come up to Uranus, Mercury direct, and at 8:11, it's 11 minutes past the hour, no matter where you live in the world, that Chiron moves into Aries. 11 again, the master number. Pluto will be stationary retrograde at 21 degrees and 17 minutes. If you add that up in like numerology, that's another 11. And that will begin its retrograde next week, but we're going to start feeling those energies now. Just like Saturn isn't exactly stationary direct right now, but it's like a crank. It's going so slowly that we're feeling the Saturn retrograde energies already. And he's been sitting at his degree at retrograde for, I think, about 10 days now. Last week I remember saying that, so it had to have been already a week. He will begin retrograde on Wednesday, and he will begin retrograde at 9 degrees and 9 minutes. 9 is the culmination of a cycle where we get ready to move into the next cycle. Pluto will sit too at that 21 degrees and 17 minutes until the full moon that he will rule on the 29th again and 11th of April. That full moon in Scorpio that's conjunct Jupiter. That's going to be a huge, huge, huge happening for everyone, for the planet. Neptune is sitting at a degree that he asked me to mention the Sabian symbol. Each degree of the zodiac, the 360 degrees, has a meaning. So where your sun, where your ascendant, where planets fall, where your nodes fall in your own particular natal chart is significant. It has a symbol attached to it, a meaning. There's a meaning behind every one of the degrees. And the meaning of 15 degrees, or where Neptune is in Pisces right now, is in a quiet moment, a creative individual experiences the flow of inspiration. That is and it's also sitting on a fixed star that is known as a gateway to higher realms. And the name is escaping me right now, but it's sitting on that fixed star. So this is just a reminder to everyone to connect with spirit, connect into yourself, connect into your heart space, and listen to your higher consciousness. The energies are so ramped up with anger and aggression and stubbornness because there's a lot of fire and a lot of earth. There's no air in the sky right now. And so if we want to bring peace to earth, if we want the light to return to earth, that's by becoming the peace and the light individually. It's when we as individuals change that's how the collective makes the shift and changes. So it's a great week to start a meditation practice. Jupiter is moving just 1 degree, this week he'll move to a degree. A woman drawing aside 2 dark curtains that close the entrance to a sacred pathway. So, and Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces. So Jupiter and Neptune have that connection, that they both are, they're co-rulers of Pisces, which is the sign of spirit, the sign of spirit as the energy of the Alpha and Omega, the energy of unconditional love, the Holy Spirit, God. It's an energy of unconditional love, a bright white light that if you've seen people talk about passing over to the other side and that they felt so much love and that they didn't want to leave, it's because they were in that energy. And Diana Steibel, who brought forward the teachings, she calls it Theta Healing in the 90s, teaches a meditation practice and a healing modality called Theta Healing that helps us teaches us how to reach that white light energy. We don't have to pass to the other side to become one with the supreme consciousness that we're all sparks of. That's the I am presence that lives in each of us. That's why when they changed the translation to we're created in the image of God, it didn't mean that God looks like a human man walking around with a long beard and a robe. It's that we're made in the image of God. We're God. We're sparks of God. We're sparks of the light, each of us. Mars is on Lilith. Well, he's conjunct by 1 degree, so he isn't exact yet. But Lilith is about gaining strength through our own independence and asserting ourselves. So, and he will move up then later as the week progresses to come conjunct Pluto, but we'll be feeling that energy later in the week. And then we have Mars, Saturn, Pluto, Lilith, and Nessus, who is abuse. It's an asteroid, but the energies of it are about abuse. They're all traveling parallel just by 1 degree in that order. When they're in parallel, that means that the way that they're aspecting the Earth by declination, their energies are conjunct. Their energies are seen like enmeshed, like together. You read them as the same energies. So those are aggressive and abusive and warring energies. That's why I'm saying it's important for us individually to take a moment, to have moments of peace inner peace and to connect to the I am, connect to your own higher consciousness and connect to source so that we can feel the energy of peace. Because otherwise, out there it's going to be difficult to find it. We have Neptune contra-parallel, so in an opposition by parallel to Sedna, which is water. So that's, again, speaking to a lot of flooding things that are, the issues that are going to come up with flooding. Sedna is in Taurus, which represents the Earth, the beauty of planet Earth. And Venus and Vesta. Vesta is an asteroid of the sacred divine feminine that is representation of the Vestal virgins, the sacred prostitutes. They were called whores. That's how the teachings of Mary Magdalene becoming a prostitute got into the collective. That's how they changed that. It was a sacred practice brought by Isis that was passed down, that Mary Magdalene was taught by the priestess of Isis, and Mary also. Mary was the name that they called female healers. So that's why that's Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene. They were healers, and they learned these practices of Isis and healed men through sacred sexual practices. So she is represented by Vesta. That energy is Vesta, and Venus and the nodes of fate are all traveling together this week in parallel too. Vesta now is in Capricorn, so it's the sign of structure as well as governments and institutions. And so we're talking about the sacred divine feminine having a say in all of the things that are going on in Capricorn. So many things going on in Capricorn. So the new moon then on Sunday night, or if you're in Europe overnight, early then Monday morning, is going to send Mercury then direct. And Monday the 16th, the moon will move into Taurus, where he is in his sign of exaltation. Mercury is moving forward, and we're going to start feeling Venus coming into a trine, which is a nice energy, so a happy conversation. They're having an in-depth conversation without any nonsense getting in the way. Venus and Pluto. So if you're in an established relationship where you're being nourished and nurtured and you're happy together, this is a very passionate energy. Pluto moves exact to his degree where he will go into retrograde, and he's speaking to Venus, who is about what we value. It's about our own self-worth. Who made you, who gave you your sense of value? Did your sense of value come from source? Do you understand that you're worthy of owning the I am, of being treated in relationship the way that highest truth God, who loves you unconditionally, would treat you? Is that what's happening in your own relationship? Because if not, this could be a day where there's struggles in relationship, or we could just be feeling it within ourselves, like times that we were treated as less than we really are. But if you're in a relationship, it's a great day to have sex. That's Monday. Tuesday, Chiron moves into Aries, 11 minutes after 8 o'clock Universal Time. That's Greenwich, London time. And he will move back into Pisces the first week of November, and he will aspect Jupiter and the nodes and Venus as Jupiter begins to leave Scorpio and go into his own sign of Sagittarius. So right now we're dealing with Chiron and Pisces. Pisces is the sign of spirit ruled by Neptune and Jupiter. And it's the whole, like all of us, like all that is. So it's that wound that you are unable, the belief that you are unable to connect to that, to own your part of your truth of being part of God, and then your connection with others. That's what we've been working on for about 8 years while Chiron was in Pisces. Chiron is the asteroid who orbits the sun between Saturn and Uranus. Saturn being the lord of karma, the restriction, the bindings, Saturn that wants you to get your stuff together before anything else can happen, and Uranus that breaks us free of the karma, that sets us free of the chains that bind us, the ties that bind us. So he orbits between those because he's the wounded healer, or the wound that never heals, which of course there's no such thing, but that's, one of the terms that's been assigned to him because of his energy. So in your own natal chart, Chiron Chiron looks like a key. Here he is. Because he's the key to your healing. Wherever he falls in your own natal chart is where the wound is the deepest, where it's typically something that happened in childhood, but it didn't start in this lifetime. It might be something that you've just been passing down through the family. But wherever that wound is in your natal chart points to your healing as well. And then where you in turn heal others because you found your healing. And him moving into Aries, like I talked about, is about us healing the I am. So I would recommend the Saint Germain decrees, the I am decrees by Saint Germain, and I cannot remember who authored those or the publisher, but you can, just Google it and just start saying those I am decrees. Is when you start saying the I am decrees, you will feel your vibration raise because you're reminding yourself of who you are when you say those decrees out loud. They're very empowering. They're awesome. So if you can, I'm sure you can find them used too. I think I've bought all of mine used. I'm sure I bought them on Amazon. And then Venus and Pluto too is talking about, because Pluto rules that deep, that'll be exact on Tuesday. And Pluto is the deep psychological damage or what's going on deep down in there that we haven't dealt with, that we kind of just pushed aside, didn't need to worry about it at the time anymore. So it's going to bring up issues of values, feeling that we're unworthy, and the moon will conjunct Venus then in that same aspect with Pluto after meeting up with Neptune. So again, on Tuesday, the moon is emotion. So there could be a lot of emotion coming up for us, or it's a great day to plant a seed because you've got the moon and Venus and Pluto. You're talking about water and earth and building something. So it's building something of lasting value. Mercury is direct now. Time to, plant that seed and get things moving. We're still dealing with the energies of the new moon. They'll still be around on Tuesday. So Tuesday could be a day that we really move forward, or we get some news, Mercury, in regard to a project that we've been thinking about starting. On Wednesday, Mars meets Lilith exactly, and Metatron said this is bringing action to our assertion of independence, pushing us into places we can stand up for ourselves, for others, and using our own voice, because the moon will move into Gemini. So that's about asserting yourself and your independence in a kind way, because Mars and Lilith can be a little bit nasty. But we want to, change that energy into standing up for ourselves, clear the throat chakra, get all of that kind of stuff that's been stopping you from speaking up for yourself. Whatever comes up Monday, Tuesday in those Venus-Pluto aspects, now it's the time to say, you know what, and just speak your truth. With that, you can speak your truth kindly and firmly without being aggressive. That's the way that we assert ourselves, because we're trying to bring peace to all of this other stuff that's happening. But if someone does jump on you, just know, okay, because it's the Mars Lilith, and a lot of people have no idea that these things are happening. It's also a good day because Mercury's out of retrograde now, and Mercury rules Gemini, and so with the moon there, it's a good day for writing, and it'll be in Gemini for a couple until Friday. It's a good day to return phone calls, catch up on emails, do your paperwork, writing. It's a great energy for writing that day. Saturn will station then on Wednesday at 9 degrees and 9 minutes of Capricorn. Pluto will be slowing down to I think he's got a day and a half left until he's completely stationed. But I mean, they're going so slowly now that we're feeling it as them stationed too. And these are big boys. These are war, and these are Saturn can be tyrannical too. So, especially when you put them together. So, we're feeling those energies collectively. So going inside and finding that space of inner peace, connecting to your I am presence, connecting to source is so important this week. This week is just huge. Then the sun will meet Uranus. So this will be the last time that the sun meets up with the planet Uranus. It's been doing that since 2010, except for a brief break. And he will be talking to Uranus for the last time before Uranus moves into Taurus next month. On Thursday, and then again with Uranus, just a reminder that Uranus is breaking free from ties that bind us. So, and Sun is how we our souls. It's like how in our individual natal chart, like what's holding us back on a soul level when it meets up with Uranus that we can become free from. And then that's the day. That's why he was saying like this is about bringing action to our assertion of independence, pushing us into places where we can, and standing up for ourselves and others and using our own voice to do that. Thursday, the moon will square Neptune. So that's not such a, like the moon is in Gemini. Gemini is pretty easygoing. With the square to Neptune, it could be because the moon is in Gemini, which is communication. Could be some lie that comes out. Now Mercury is direct, so it could be something that you were told or something that you believe, some information that you had that was misinformation. Then now you find out the truth. And then Friday, the sun moves into Taurus. The sun is no longer in fire, answering to Mars. So that will feel so much better, so much better. The moon will move into Cancer. The moon, well, so we're going to start feeling Mars coming up then on Friday. We'll feel Mars coming up to Pluto. And this will play out most likely collectively, especially because of what's going on right now with Syria. Just watch out for, anger and aggressive energy. We want to just keep sending. You can always send unconditional love from source to areas of the world in conflict. If those kind of things pop into your head, just command, Creator is commanded to send unconditional love to the people of Syria and, the refugees everywhere. And you can always send angels anywhere. Angels are just waiting for a directive. The rule is that they don't interfere they don't intercede unless asked. So we can ask the angels to be sent there. We can ask unconditional love to be sent there. You can do that anytime. The moon will sextile Mercury and oppose Vesta and come into an opposition with Saturn as well. So that could be a lot of this Friday night. So that could be emotion. It could also be, Saturn, it doesn't just bring restriction, it sets boundaries, it draws the line. It's a foundational energy too. So this could be like things that come up with family to deal with. Saturday, because Cancer, family. Saturday the 21st, Pluto then stations to go retrograde. So we'll feel a lot of that Plutonian energy, which we're feeling all year because of Jupiter and Scorpio until November. So that's, this is a master year. 2018 is an 11. And that's why Jupiter is at Scorpio, because that's where we find our self-mastery. We get to, in order to become a master, you face your darkness before you transmute it to light. You pull up all of the darkness and you let that go and you have that healed. And then you are light. The moon in Cancer then on Saturday will oppose Mars, Lilith, and Pluto. And for us in the United States, we'll feel that opposition to Saturn on Saturday as well. So Saturday is a serious day. It can be an emotional day. Anything that comes up to be worked on, you can always, if you don't work with anyone who does energy healing, and you don't, if you've never practiced meditation. I practiced meditation. I have Mercury square Mars in my chart, and I have Mars at the degree of exaltation, and he is my chart ruler. My ascendant is 29 Aries, so I couldn't shut my mind off. I had to set my timer on my phone for 3 minutes, and I just took deep breaths in and out for 3 minutes, and then pretty soon I did 5 minutes, and then pretty soon I did 20 minutes. So whatever you have to do to get to that centering yourself, try doing it that way. Just start with 3 minutes. And you can always ask your angels when you're feeling overwhelmed by emotion or fear because of what's happening. You can always ask the angels to transmute that from your space. They're waiting for you to ask for help. They can't help you if you don't give them permission. So, and my website is astrologyforascension.com. I go into the energy of source and help others. I hold space for them in that energy so that they're able to go back and find out in their subconscious mind where the subconscious beliefs that they're living out that are causing negative karma to come into their life, where that started, and then we transmute those energies. We change the beliefs. Source changes the beliefs, and then that is healed, and that they no longer have to deal with the karma that's playing out in this lifetime because of those situations. So my website is astrologyforascension.com, and if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments, or you can email me at jennyb at Astrology for Ascension, and my Facebook is Astrology for Ascension as well. So have a great week, everyone. I'm going to begin doing I just haven't had time this week, but I'm going to begin doing meditations, healing meditations with Sananda, who incarnated as Jesus, and Mary Magdalene, for healing the divine masculine as Chiron begins his journey through Aries now. Aries is also, anger, war, aggression, the masculine. The masculine has been when we each have come in, because my first two past life memories were I was on a battlefield. And when you're doing things like that, when you're fighting a war, you just shut it off and you just do your job. But that wound doesn't go away because you shut it off in that lifetime. So we're all carrying the wounded divine masculine within us, and we heal that so that we can have a balance of our masculine and feminine. And then, as I said, once we're balanced individually, that's when the balance comes to the collective, to the planet. So have a great week, everyone. Remember to call in your